brand owners, welcome back to Seller Performance Solutions. I'm Chris McCabe. Leah is off, which is why I am interviewing wonderful people like Vincenzo Toscano of Ecomcy, who I recently saw in South Korea, right? Solar Kingdom was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, we had so
Yeah.
much fun. Like South Korea was very impressive from a cultural perspective, from an Amazon seller perspective. It really opened my eyes in terms of what is going on in the region.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of insightful conversation. I'm sure you remember that as well. Like sellers there are killing it. So
Yeah. And Raphael was on the podcast, I think
yeah,
last week or 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
And he was talking about how we went to the DMZ between North Korea and South Korea.
That's
Um,
crazy. Yeah, that was
You don't get that. You don't get that kind of thing every time you go to an Amazon conference.
yeah, we're pretty
So,
much in the border of going to jail, right? We're
right,
scratching the surface.
right. No, not fortunately, nothing crazy, but yeah, that was a good experience. And also, I learned a lot about how many Korean sellers are in New York City. Bopio and his group, they came to my meetup in New York, and you've got a meetup coming up or like a group event in London, right? So
Yes,
maybe you'll
that's
find
right.
out if there are Koreans in London. Why don't you say what the details are for that for anyone listening there?
Yes, of course. So essentially, we're doing a Christmas meetup in London. So this is a series of meetups we're gonna start doing every single month in London. Like I identified that in London, there's a huge void for really community for Amazon sellers. So that's essentially the goal with this meetup. And essentially, of course, you can find it in Meetup if you look
Mhm,
for the e-commerce hub. But yeah, the goal is to allow a safe space for Amazon sellers and also brand owners to come to the singularity point where we can share ideas or struggles, learn from each other. And I guess, which is also part of the business, have some fun and have some networking. So yeah,
that's great. I'm looking forward to I don't know if I can make it to your Christmas party, but
that's fine. Don't worry. I'll
early
send you
next
some
year.
videos.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I can make it there soon. All right, let's kick this one off with talk about there's so much flurry of posts and comments and commentary about Rufus. So what do you
Yeah,
think? Because there are probably a lot of people out there who maybe know what it is, but don't have
yeah,
time to read every single post about it. Is there any way you can
yeah.
condense it or kind of crunch it down?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna try to give you guys as many actionable steps that you can straight after this episode go implement, and you're gonna be able to optimize effectively your listings so they can be recommended by Rufus when somebody is shopping on Amazon. So for those that don't know, Rufus essentially is implementation by Amazon as an AI, like a personal shopper. So you just ask Rufus whatever you're looking for. It could be some vitamins, it could be a home decor item, so be something for your kitchen. And then Rufus based on the perception of what they understand or perceive from a listing based on the copy, based on the images, they will proceed and recommend that product. Now,
Mhm.
the key here is to reverse engineer how this AI works, because if you're able to reverse engineer how the AI works, essentially you can condition this AI to recommend your listing over the competition. And we have identified already certain trends that are working consistently here at Ecomcy in terms of how we can optimize our listing for growth. So the first
Okay.
thing you're gonna need is you need to open an account, which the first year is free, right? AWS, for those that don't know, is a set of tools that Amazon offered beyond the what we know Amazon as a marketplace. They also offer server solutions. They also have some AI solutions outside of the Amazon marketplace. And that's where they offer two things that are essentially the backbone where Rufus operates in terms of understanding what a listing is in terms of a product and the semantic meaning behind a listing. So the first one is Amazon Comprehend. So Amazon Comprehend is one of the tools within AWS, which allow you to essentially recognize what the actual text within a listing implies from the sentiment, from the phrases, from the accuracy in terms of what is the meaning behind the actual keywords on the listing. And the second tool is very important for you guys to understand how to use is Amazon Recognition. Amazon Recognition is the image processing technology they have developed, where any single image you give to Amazon, they're able to extract the text behind an image, understand the labels that are embedded within the image, the people, the lifestyle, also if there's certain kind of prohibited content on the image. So everything that Amazon essentially can extract from these images create the backbone in terms of the definition of what the product is in the first place. These are going to be the tools you're going to use to optimize your listing, because they're going
Mhm.
to allow you to understand how your images are reflected on Amazon eyes and how your text is reflecting Amazon eyes. So you can then optimize to make sure you reach that optimal point of really allowing Amazon to understand what your product is in the first place. Yeah.
Do you think the advent of Rufus makes it easier to understand the best ways to optimize? And maybe in the past it was unclear, or you just had to experiment and do an A/B test and figure it out from there. Is it a cleaner process now?
Yeah, so a lot of the things, if I'm honest with you, is a lot of trial and error because there's not a perfect science. And what I mean by that is a lot of the process to optimize a listing for Rufus is as simple as, for example, going to one of our competitors
Mhm.
and start interacting with Rufus, ask them questions about the product, and seeing based on the questions that we ask to Rufus, what are the pros that they essentially give us back as a result, right? If
Mhm.
we ask them for a specific feature, for a specific result, for a specific kind of meaning behind what I'm looking to achieve by buying this product, by having a look at the results that Rufus give us, we reverse engineer those listings. And that's the starting point. It's essentially what you do for keyword research. You identify the top 10 competitors, you go to and do a reverse ASIN analysis. You take the top keywords. Now it's the same. You go to Rufus, you ask them questions about your specific product, your niche. You see what the pros that Amazon and Rufus throw back at you. And those are going to be the pros you want to focus on because if Rufus is recommending those, they have done a very good job in terms of creating the semantic relationship between the
Okay.
keywords and the meaning and what you
Right.
actually want your product to resemble, right?
I'm
Yeah,
wondering if there are common misconceptions about Rufus, either because
yeah.
people misinterpret or misconstrue LinkedIn posts, or if they
Mhm.
misconstrue any Amazon information about Rufus.
There is definitely, I think one of the first misconception is people, some of them complain that Rufus is not very accurate when it comes to results. And I
Mhm.
feel every single time I have seen posts related to that, people complaining about Rufus not recommending the product they're looking for. Usually it's because they are very vague.
Okay.
And this connects heavily with what people sometimes experience with ChatGPT. You hear a lot of people saying, ChatGPT is actually not that good. It is very generic here and there. But when we actually got deeper into how they're using ChatGPT, the prompts are very broad, very basic. They don't put a lot of thought behind what they're writing.
Mhm.
The same is with Rufus. If you keep your phrase so broad, Amazon sometimes struggle to really give you something that connects to what your real search, right? So that's
Yeah.
one of the first misconception. The fact that Rufus is able to read your mind. No, you need to be detailed in terms of what you
Nobody
need.
can read your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And yes, once you identify the top products that Rufus recommend, then we'll put those into Amazon recognition. We reverse engineer their images. We try to identify Amazon recognition, what reads in terms of the lifestyle in the images, the keywords in the images, every single thing that is important from an image recognition. And then that will be our baseline and our brand guidelines to give to our designer and our photographer to make sure our images matches that kind of essential technicality from a image processing point of view because we want our images to be recognized the same as our competition. That's the
Right.
first thing. And the second one to conclude with the copy is the same. We'll take the copy of the listings that Rufus consistently recommend. Let's say you're selling vitamin C, and these vitamin Cs are the one that constantly get recommended by Rufus. We take the copy, we put in Amazon Comprehend, and we reverse engineer what are they doing in their copy in terms of sentiment and semantic meaning behind their phrases to make sure we can resemble the same in our copy. And then we go back and optimize our listings. Yeah.
Got it. All right. You so neatly encapsulated that. I don't need to ask any follow-up questions. You're the guy to go to with Rufus questions, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds
Yeah, I
good.
think is
Okay.
it's something that you guys need to figure out. I feel if you don't, and I see a lot of people being resistive to this, you're gonna have a
Mhm.
struggle. I feel Amazon is definitely going to the direction of heavily implementation of AI across the board, and you need to reverse engineer how AI reads your listing and use that as the benchmark now to work on your brand than be stuck on the old time ways of doing things, which is heavily based on only keywords and not actually
Yeah.
focusing on the semantics of things.
Right. Cool. Thank you. Are there misconceptions that are common and current on pay-per-click? You
Yep.
and I were talking a little bit before I started recording about that as we gradually get through the rest of Q4 and head into the new
Yeah.
year. What do you think people need to focus on or know about?
Yeah. So I would say with a pay per click, of course, the cost is going up every single time. We see the CPC is becoming higher and higher. But at the same time, we see people finding ways to mitigate this, which is what we're doing and it comes. And I'm going to give you a couple of solutions that you can do to mitigate the cost per click. The first one, which has been our best friend when it comes to that, is a TikTok. We've been going very heavy on this. So the
Right.
reason why it's been very effective is we are going and focusing on creating a lot of content that can go viral in terms of making funny videos or how to videos. And then with these videos, what we have able to crack is
Hmm.
the option to now bring an extra amount of traffic to our listing that can be way cheaper than fighting at the CPC level. And then we're able to create our own traffic at the branded level. So we see a lot of our branded search terms now increasing in search volume because we create this hype in TikTok. And a
Hmm.
lot of people now go to Amazon and shop our brand. So that's the first solution to mitigate high cost per click. The second one that has also been a good thing that we're seeing across the board for brands that already are at that level is the implementation of DSP. DSP in the past, unfortunately, had a bad stigma because DSP before was like a black hole. You put money inside, you didn't know what was happening. Now, with
Hmm.
the implementation of Amazon Marketing Cloud, we can know in depth to the dime what is happening to your money and make sure that there's no overlap with your PPC. And now with DSP, we're able to tap into audiences and placements that usually are way cheaper because a lot of people haven't adapted DSP yet. And
Okay.
the good news is that DSP has been democratized much more now. Before, it required a huge investment upfront. Now the minimums are getting lower. And if you're working with people that really know what they're doing with DSP, you can have a good result without investing thousands and crazy money like you used to do before. So that's
Yeah.
another thing we're doing as well.
I'm sure you do audits all the time. How many people do you come across who are just bad spend, bad strategy, and you can make a couple of tweaks and get them right back on track? Or is it like it takes a lot of time? You have to deep
Yeah.
dive all the mistakes. Is
Yeah.
it a
So
range?
yeah, this is actually a good question because people ask me all the time, like Vincenzo, why you are so optimistic? Don't you see everybody complaining and people struggling on Amazon? And the
Yeah.
reason why I'm so optimistic is because when I do audits, it's crazy the amount of untapped potential so many brands have. Like the other day, last week, I was auditing a seven-figure brand
Okay.
where 60% pretty much of their spend on the PPC was
Hmm.
coming from automatic campaign. They had an automatic campaign from 2015. They left that campaign running and they didn't do anything new on top of that. They were spending thousands and thousands of dollars, which when I went inside into the reports, a lot of ways to spend at the search term level, placement level. And what I'm trying to say is that they still huge brands that the only reason why they are still in the game is because they had these legacy campaigns that got lucky. But a lot of
Hmm.
people have no clue when it comes to PPC. So why this is important for you watching or hearing this is because that means if you really put a thought behind reverse engineering your PPC and you really start utilizing all the different placements and targeting that Amazon has released across the last couple of months and years, you can definitely tap into markets where these big players are because again, seven, eight figure brands sometimes a jump and I can't believe sometimes what I see like super basic structure. They have a very disorganized way of distributing budget. The only reason why it's still there is because sometimes nobody has had the courage to really go against them and do a good PPC strategy against them. So there's still
Okay.
a lot of gap in the market for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kind of curious, as we get closer to the end of the year, what everyone's trends and predictions for 2025
Hmm.
are going to be for PPC. So maybe we can finish with that. Are there things that you've already thought about that you have to get ready to talk to people about for next year that you think they should start thinking about right now?
Yeah, so I would say from a market perspective, I definitely think next year is going to be so much better year than this year, and the reason is simple. I already see a lot of categories where there's voids that are starting to happen because a lot of
Mm,
people didn't survive this year or they are not having the cash flow to go into next year. So that's creating void in the market. Void in the market means less people doing certain video on certain keywords. So we might see a consolidation of cost per click next year, which
right.
means for people that really know what they're doing with PPC, next year is going to be an opportunity to take extra market share that you didn't manage to do this year because of the extra money that was coming to PPC just to survive and try to figure out how to bring the brand back to
Yeah.
life. And the third thing I would say where people has to really bring a lot of expertise in their team or start hiring is also start understanding how ads are going to evolve with AI because AI for sure not only is going to be impacting ACO, we're already starting to see how this can be a huge influx of influence in terms of your PPC. So you really need to figure out your brand from an AI perspective, like how your brand is being perceived from an avatar perspective, from an understanding of how you are targeting certain niches within Amazon itself. Because if you don't really go granular now in terms of what you're looking to achieve with your targeting and with your SEO and your branding, AI can very easily take you from being a dominant player in the category to significantly penalize you, because now the semantic of what you're putting out there in Amazon eyes is not reflecting anymore what Amazon needs to recommend you. So that's going to be a huge thing for 2025, and you need to spend a lot of time on that.
All right, sweet. Yeah. So, and if people, let's just say for argument's sake, they're not going to see you in London in December, you're going to be a speaker at our meetup, but that's going to
Yes.
be a couple of months away. So, and we'll give more info about when that's going to be shortly, but how do people reach you in the meantime?
Yeah, so if you guys wanna find me, you can look for Vincenzo Toscano. Very easy to find me every single social media channel, or ecomc.com is our website. Feel free to book a call with us without any commitment. Like, more than happy to have a discussion and explore how we can partner with you to help you scale your brand on Amazon. Yeah.
Great. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. You know where to find Vincenzo. Thank you, Vincenzo, for coming
Thank
on.
you, Chris. Pleasure.
And we'll catch
Hopefully I see you soon.
Of course. Yeah, no, we'll catch up with you again soon. Thanks everyone for listening in.